Anybody have any questions about anything before we start? Do you think the false flag beef between Kendrick and Drake will eventually be portrayed as anti-Semitism in a coordinated anti-Israel protests that are going across the country? It could be. However, I think it was more done so that way they could bring some money back into the hip hop sphere, being that 2024 was the lowest aspect of hip hop sales numbers that they've had in like years. You know what I'm saying? Like this has been the lowest thing, which also coincides to the whole slut rap era. So I think it's more about striving to bring more revenue into rap, being that the slut rap only has a shelf life of about a little less than a year. They may try to go that route with the Drake thing. Only problem is because this dude sheds so much light about the pedophilia aspect of it and the human trafficking aspect of it, they might not be able to really soft shoe the whole Jew angle in it. They'll probably strive to go in on that because you can only say that type of stuff so much about this dude without the feds actually doing that. And you know, he's sold off a lot of the American properties since it's come out that his right hand man, is and was arrested and convicted for human trafficking and child molestation. So, you know, if you really go and fact check all of that stuff that this dude is saying, when you take away the artistry of it, a lot of it is true. You know what I'm saying? So, you know, it's only a matter of time before they line him up. You know what I mean? So this may also be part of that whole aspect as well. Yeah, that's really where the hate is coming in. The hate is really coming in because him and Lucian Grange got that whole deal where he's getting everybody's publishing, which again is some colonizer type move. So it's all basically coming out with that, which is then destroying it. And in my opinion, his reputation is totally damaged. Like he's not going to be able to really come out of that without people really going in and asking about, you know, all of the suspect shit he been doing all of these years. You know what I'm saying? Because he was lulled into a false sense of security by the Jewish mafia and them people that was backing him up. You know what I'm saying? From the beginning. So now the chickens is coming home to roost, and the so-called Black Christ, Petty Pendergrass, aka Kung Fu Kenny, you know, he just been really doing it. Also, this is really bringing the so-called West Coast Compton thing back. You know what I'm saying? So it's really settling a lot of beefs and a lot of scores. You know, is it a distraction? Yes. You know what I mean? However, it is entertaining, and they also need it to deal with all of the Hamas backed, because all of that's being paid for by Hamas. All of this high school stuff or whatever, this is just a replay of what they was doing in the 60s. You know what I'm saying? So this is just all another remake of the same script that they was running back in the days. Now, if it elevates like it did in the 60s, where you have a bunch of white kids trying to set up little terrorist cells like the Weatherman Underground and stuff like that, then you're really going to see something pop off with that, because all of that's being funded by Hamas, the Tides Foundation, which is the transsexual agenda dudes, the Pritzker dudes who are transsexual people, Soros, WEF, IMF, Gates Foundation, Rockefeller Foundation. These are all of the same people that are running the whole play through the UN. Because the thing about the UN is that in the upper echelon of the UN, it's all being run by communist Chinese. You know what I'm saying? The communist Chinese is above, is the workers for the whole thing. So it's the communist Chinese, the Jewish so-called mafia above them, and then above them you got the Orsini and the those types of families, the old French families. You know what I'm saying? That's running it, and then under the UN Chinese regime run UN. Then you got BlackRock. Then you got Vanguard. Then you got State Street. You see what I'm saying? And then under them you got Hollywood. You see what I'm saying? And then under Hollywood you got the music industry. You see what I'm saying? That's why nuclear. That's why Lucian Grange was knighted by the Queen before she died. You understand? Everybody that's doing whatever they doing is all tied into the Freemasonic situation. So that goes for Aubrey too. You know what I mean? Like his mother was chosen to mate with Larry Graham by the Mucky Mucks, you know what I mean, to put him eventually in position to do what he's doing. That's why that's why he's so disconnected, where he could, refer to his audience as slaves and you know what I mean, talking about how, you trying to rap like you're trying to free the slaves, because that's how he sees everybody. That's why he can overly sexualize slut rappers like Sexy Red and these things, because that's the so-called Jewish, excuse me, the so-called agenda. Yeah, and then in between that, yes, is the boule. You know what I mean? However, all of the plays that they running through the black boule face. You know what I mean? Whether it be Fannie Willis or Tiffany Haynard or the devil chick that is in the UN, or Heels Up Harris, or any of these black puppets. You know what I'm saying? It's all being run through them. Exactly. All of them, all of these guys, you know what I mean? They'll be smart in all of that and know that, but they still participated in all of the rituals. Prince participated in the ritual. Michael participated in the ritual. So regards to what they want to do towards the end, you see what I'm saying? They put themselves in that position by bonding with the same beast that they wanted to eventually break away from, but it don't work like that. You know what I mean? As much as people want to look at Cassie as the victim, she's not the victim. She participated in that for over 15 years. You mean to tell me in all of 15 years there wasn't one point in one instance that you couldn't duck off somewhere and put some money aside so you could just kind of like dip and all of that, especially when this thing is blowing up Kid Cudi cars and all of this shit? Like, you know what I mean? Like, you're all willing participants until you're not. You dig? So everybody's to blame. You see what I'm saying? Everybody is a willing victim, or what they call a wanton. You know what I mean? In that society, once you're up on that level, you see what I'm saying? So it really don't matter. Like, one of the first people that was on his head, that was on Aubrey's head back in the days, was Tory Lanez. So they didn't forget about that. You see what I'm saying? They didn't forget about that at all. But they know what your customs are. They know what your vices are. And eventually they hooked him up with the devil so that way he could get branched off and put away. Jay-Z, they use him to knock, they're using him to knock Jay Prince and them out of Houston and Texas and Nashville, because they want black people to do country music now, because they trying to sell, now that Lucian Grange and them have bought everybody masters and shit, they trying to get Chinese, Japanese, them type of artists to do all of the fake rap and the break dancing and the juking and all that. So they trying to phase the blacks out of that. However, that's why this whole thing with Kendrick and this dude kind of like maybe put the kibosh on that. If anything, it might have breathed another 3 years, 4 years worth of life back into the so-called hip hop game, where now, people want to see actual males do real rap now, where lyrics is real important. And it was a psychological thing from the Euphoria to the last song. Like, he systematically has broken this dude down to, that's excellent. He has systematically broken this dude down to atoms, to the point where people booing his family. His family went somewhere and they started trying to play his song and everybody booed him. booed them and they had to switch the song. Niggas is running back the whole not like us thing. Like it's really something to witness, you know what I mean? Like to see the systematic breakdown and then the psychological aspect of the bars that this dude has been doing, and how all of the copium that all of Aubrey's dick riders and idol worshippers like academics and these types of people really trying to hold on and really trying to like talk it down, you know what I mean? When really it's the exact opposite. Like there's no way he can actually be taken seriously or even not being and not be looked at as a sexual predator, because his actions have already dictated all of that. So it has nothing to even do now with Kendrick. Now it's gone into the zeitgeist of the so-called consciousness of what they're calling hip hop, you see? So on a psychological level, it's over for him, you know, and he's a Libra. So this is really, you understand, this is really hurting his feelings. Like Aubrey is really hurt. He's really, really hurt by this. You understand? Like his whole thing was to get people to like him. However, when you get drunk with pride cometh before the fall, and next month is Pride Month, right? You see what I'm saying? Because Pride Month comes before the fall, which is summer, right? Right? It's going to come before winter. So it's going into that. And remember, last year, they destroyed the whole Pride Month shit. They destroyed it. Like, niggas was not trying to see rainbows nowhere. They was not feeling it. So this year, it's going to be even worse. You understand? So this whole thing was about pride, you know, and how it can geese you up to such a level where you really think you could just do anything. And they're all seeing the event, the fallacy in that. You understand? Because they all standing on a house of cards, because they all down with it. They all down with it, and they all see us like slaves. So now that it's all come out, like it's pretty much a wrap for him specifically, and anybody that's co-signing him. Because now if you co-signing him, you co-signing pedophilia. You understand? Like that's a no-no. No, instead of saying no homo, you got to start saying no chomo. Like no chomo, son. Like it's over. It's over. You understand? There's no way out of this right now. It's pretty much over. He's just praying this nigga don't drop another song. You know what I'm saying? Like, I watch the copium. I watch people on Facebook and online specifically, like really, really go crazy behind this, because people, for some reason, really act like this person is something to them, and he wouldn't cross the street to spit on them if they was on fire. Oh damn, Islam Staten Base said, I think he just dropped another one tonight. See, it's over. He not only spinning the block, like he peeing on the coffin. It's over. It's over. So Aubrey fans, is that you had a good run, you know what I mean? But the fingernail polish rap, that's over. It's over. Rick Ross said Drake tried to shoot his plane down. Like it's on this level now. It's on that level now. Remember, he called his crib the embassy. Like this nigga's plugged in with the Canadian government, and you know they all communist, Marxist, gay terrorists. Like they're wilding over there. Oh, I don't know why. I don't know why he would do that. There's nothing he can say. There's just nothing. Nothing. At this point, it's a Rizzy, B. But again, these people are insane, and the very definition of insanity is doing the same thing over and over again, expecting a different result. It's not going to happen. It's like Marvel trying to come out with a good film. Like it's over. It's over. You destroyed your whole audience. You got rid of the faithful audience for an audience that don't exist, because Larry Fink gassed y'all niggas up to this communist Marxist. We're gonna have 5-foot females knock out 300-pound dudes. Like it's over, man. It's done. YouTube, Tubi is knocking out Disney Plus and all of that. We are the entertainment now. People want the reality. And so they're flooding the country with all of these fake illegal fighting age men. They flood in the colleges with all of these stupid mind controlled liberal Marxist socialist peons, you know, whose parents done paid $90,000 a year to watch them get arrested and shit, like, to try to free Palestine, when Palestine, regardless to what you want to say, is run by a terrorist organization. Hamas is terrorists. They just as bad as ISIS. They just as bad as Boko Haram. They just as bad as Al Qaeda. They just as bad as the Mujahideen. They just as bad as the Muslim Brotherhood. It's all the same. They all the same people, and all of that is being funded by the same people we talked about. Yeah, that's all CIA. That's all intelligence stuff. This is what's called the color revolution. This is how they got rid of Gaddafi. This is what they do when they want to upend society and try to institute this. But at the same time, here in America, as much ground as they think they getting, it's all turning around. This nigga DeSantis, every day he coming out with a new law. Every day he trying to shut these niggas shit down. You understand what I'm saying? They trying to turn Texas purple, at least, to get everybody that fled out of California, all of the operatives there, to get there and turn them crazy. However, the country is not having it. They not having it. They tried to come out with the PSYOP Civil War movie. That didn't work. You know, people was like, yeah, it's cool, but whatever. You know what I'm saying? Let me see what's on YouTube. Like, they not feeling none of this. If it's not coming from regular people, like real people, then it's not it's nothing. Everybody's compromised. That's in the mainstream. They're all of them. That's why they're there. They wouldn't be there if they weren't. So let's not make it into something that's not. So one of the ops that they just pulled was they allegedly murdered this brother. Peace to him and his family. You know what I mean? I don't know him. You know what I'm saying? And I'm out here, but Polk County is a little farther away from me. They got rid of this brother based upon what they say happened. What they say happened. Well, this brother's name is KMAC El Bay. He allegedly was pulled over. He started basically going in on the science and, you know, what he could do, what rights he got, what they couldn't do, and you know what I'm saying, based upon his sovereignty and this and that. This is what the story go. I wasn't there, so again, I can't speculate. You know, I can only really speculate on what happened leading up to the situation. However, we've heard and seen situations like this before. It ain't really what you say, it's kind of how you do it. But again, I wasn't there to see it get done. All I know is it happened. Now, one of the things that's very interesting about this is that this sheriff right here, this thing right here, he is notorious for clowning people when they get murked out here. You know what I mean? For doing crazy shit. He's also one of the main people who be arresting a lot of these Disney people. They arrest Disney workers at least 3 times, 4 times a week for pedophilia out there. That's facts. You could look up the police records on these niggas, and they be going in on them. Now, this brother, he wrote a book. He wrote children's books. You know what I'm saying? And again, I never heard of him. I've been asking Moors that I know out that way, been calling around. You know what I'm saying? Like I said, I'm out here, but I'm not in Polk County or around there, so I don't really know what the deal is with that. So eventually, this is kind of like what happened. They're saying that they stopped him, they asked him or whatever, and he was telling them what they couldn't do, what they could not do. And then next thing you know, they say, pull out the hammer and started blasting them. So, you know, they're going to do what they're going to do with that. You understand what I'm saying? Like regardless to what we think, regardless to what.
Started shooting somebody first.
That's what they're saying. That's what I just said. They're saying that after, what are you saying?
And that he retaliated. They retaliated by shooting him back.
Yeah, that's what I just said. They said that he was on this And after whatever he was saying to them wasn't working, that's when he just said, well, you know, I'm sorry, I'll do what I want, start clapping at them. Now, whether that's true or not, I don't know. We'll never know. You understand what I'm saying? Because again, the way that they're controlling information, the way that they're doing certain things, you know, you can only try to get it after the fact, and that's through things like a Freedom of Information Act, things like that. Yeah, well, I mean, it's always trying to do that. They're always trying to associate sovereign citizenship with Moors, but sovereign citizenship has nothing to do with Moors. Okay? That's one thing that everybody should understand. Sovereign citizenship has nothing to do with Moorish science or Moors in general. The sovereignty that Moors or original people like us is supposed to exhibit has nothing to do with the way that these people be talking about it as it is portrayed on the internets and the interwebs and all of that. They're trying to lump Moors into that, and that all started with a group called the Southern Poverty Law Center, which is another one of these Marxist, communist, fake law consultant organizations started by the same people that's funding the same people that's running all of these things that we just talked about. Islam. The other way you got to look at it too is that you got to understand that all of these people are involved in other things. So there's the public aspect of it, and then there's the private aspect of it. The private aspect of it always got to do with shit like this. You understand? Whenever you see these types of dudes, you did, like, this is what's a part of that. You know what I mean? You see, he giving them the enter the apprentice grip. You see that? Excuse me, giving them the master grip right here. So just like Kenny said in the song, he said you can't do all of your secret handshakes, right? Like, you got to really go back and look at the things that this dude was saying. It's like every bar this guy is saying references some aspect of this dude's secret life. That's what's so crazy about the whole situation. Like, Ether was one thing, but listening to Meet the Grams, it was almost like listening to a horror movie with the beat and all that, with Alchemist on the beat. Then he's so strategic. He used Alchemist, who is a Caucasian dude. So it's like so he's practicing diversity, equity, and inclusion in the whole thing at the same time. Like, it's crazy. So all of that's happening while this happened, right? And like I said, whenever these dudes is involved with it, right, you always know that there's always something else going on too. There's always something else going on. Okay? Because their whole thing is order out of chaos. Yeah, here you go. There you go right here. This is his most worshipful master right here. You understand? So I find it interesting. This is one of the only pictures you see of the brother online, and look what he got. His heart is on his chest. See what I'm saying? In front of a gazelle, which are usually hunted, right? And then the little birdie, right? Which is like a parakeet or something, right? So to me, it's all ritual in some form or fashion. Yup, he got the Moorish star on his joint. They got old George behind him, right? The white George, because we know the real George was a French Huguenot. So we don't already smash that, so that ain't really working. And then the way that this is depicted right here, this got him looking like one of the heads. That's, you know, when they would take the Moorish heads, they would put them on the pikes and all of that. This is like another scalp. But then look at his symbol on his diadem. That's the Fleur de Lis, right? Which is the symbol of what? Louisiana. Didn't 50 Cent just buy a whole giant movie studio out in Louisiana? Right? That just happened, right? Right at the same time in Shreveport, right? Right when this dude, Aubrey's getting cooked, Diddy getting cooked, no chomo. So it's like, you know, it's a lot going on with this thing. You did? But, excuse me, or I should say, however, this has nothing to do with the Moorish Divine and National Movement. The Moorish Divine And the Moorish American or the Moorish Divine and National Movement was established by the Prophet Noble Ali before all these niggas existed, before we was even born, before the word sovereign citizen even existed, okay? Which is just another CIA type buzzword like they created, just like the word conspiracy theory. Instead of saying conspiracy theory, you got to start using what it really is, pattern recognition. Pattern recognition can never be a conspiracy, because a pattern within itself shows that there is some sort of intelligence working behind the scenes to manifest a certain outcome, which again is the order coming out of chaos, which again is the whole Freemasonic thing anyway, which is why we ain't supposed to be rocking with none of this. We beyond that. You know what I'm saying? So again, honest to this brother, you know what I mean? If it even happened like that, like I can't even say that it even happened, because again, I've been calling around asking Moors, me personally, and nobody seemed to know this brother. So you understand? The whole thing could be like, I don't know. So unless somebody come out that's connected or whatever, and even then, you still got to scrutinize the situation, because all of this is functioning as some sort of ritual to throw us off of what is actually really happening, which is we're seeing the destruction and the last gasp of a dying empire. You know what I'm saying? That's built on spiritual warfare. Okay. Now the thing with the person who invented the sovereign citizen stuff. Okay. Let's get to that. This thing. Okay. This is how you know the fix was always in. This dude right here. Anybody know what his name is? If not, I'm gonna tell you. You can always go back to the damn Jesuits. It's always the damn Jesuits. Like recently, they just told you that Candace Owens just converted to Catholicism, right? Didn't they just say that? So you know what that means? She working with the Jesuits. And one of the acronyms for the CIA is the Catholics in Action. If y'all ain't know that. That's one of they funny names besides the company and shit like that. They call them the Catholics in Action because it was mad Catholics at the top. And the Catholics are Romans. And these Romans are what? Pagans. They're Satanists. You know what I'm saying? I'm not saying that Catholic people, like the regular people who consider themselves Catholic, I'm not saying they're Satanists. I'm saying that the order of the church as to how it's going, right? That is being run by pedophiles. Name one organization that has been wrought with more pedophilia than the Catholic Church right now. You can't name one. And you notice that they've been quiet. You ain't been hearing nothing about that, right? But when Trump was in office, they was raiding them niggas. They was raiding the Vatican. They was going crazy on them, right? Soon as Biden come in. And what is Biden? A Catholic. A Catholic. So it's this dude right here. His name is William Potter Gale, I believe his name. Right? This is the nigga who started the sovereign citizenship. Okay? Look behind him. He got the white Confederate, right? Now, the Confederate flag is not theirs. That's another thing that they adopted after. Okay? I'm gonna tell you why. Why they call it the rebel flag and all that. But we'll get into that in a second. Look, Mariposa, tax protester and white supremacist minister. See, this is why you can't be a sovereign citizen. You're not a white supremacist. Tax protester, white supremacist minister William Potter Gale of Mariposa was buried Monday, Riverside. Boom. Gale, 71, a retired Army colonel. See that? So not only is this nigga in the Army, right? Not only is this nigga in the Army, he's a colonel in the Army, and he's a white supremacist in the Army. In the Army. So does that make the Army white supremacist? You think he the only one in there? Boom. Head of a paramilitary committee. See? When they say paramilitary, see, there's a difference between having a paramilitary, that sounds terrorist-like, right? Than having a militia. A militia is protected by law, okay? That's why when they try to get at the Jamal, Jamhal, and all the rest of them, they should have just referred to themselves as a Moorish militia, as a Moorish American militia. That would have just deaded a lot of stuff. You see what I'm saying? But they're into the sovereign citizen, not them particularly. But what I'm saying is the rhetoric that a lot of them was spouting was coming from people like this. And this is the head of the snake of this crap. And I just showed you, not only is he a Freemason, not only is he a white supremacist, not only is he an army colonel, not only is he a Jesuit, that means he was also what? A Freemason. Okay? Retired Army Colonel, head of the Paramilitary Committee of the United States and White Supremacist Identity Church. So he was practicing identity, right? Which is a form of, ESG now. The Identity Church. Gale had been sentenced in January to 1 year in prison by sending death threats to a judge, see? And the Internal Revenue Service agents. See what I'm saying? The federal judge in Las Vegas had postponed the sentence, however, because Gale was suffering from a severe, emphysema, and was appealing the sentence. So what kind of courtesy is that? This nigga done threatened judges, he threatened IRS agents, but because he got emphysema, they like, nah, let's postpone it. Like, when they do that? Bill Cosby was walking up in court damn near blind. You know what I'm saying? Was damn near blind, son. They ain't let him out. Boom. So Mariposa resident Fortunato Slim Perino, see, an Italian, a Jesuit, had been convicted by a federal jury in Las Vegas last October. All were members of the so-called Committee of the States, which rejects all federal authority. Gale was an aide to General Douglas MacArthur? What? 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 He was an aide to MacArthur? Like, what? In the Philippines during World War II. After the war, he worked as a stockbroker in Southern California, where he became involved with the white supremacist Aryan nations. Come on, man. Come on, man. This nigga was next to MacArthur? That's crazy. That's letting you know that this nigga was hooked up. You know what I mean? From the boots to the boots to the helmet. Right? From the rooter to the tutor. This nigga was plugged in. You're not just next to MacArthur and then you're gonna go through all of that and then start threatening federal judges in Vegas that's ran by the mob, who again is Italian, right? The mob at that point in Vegas was Italian, right? And they're what? Jesuits. That's the Opus Dei. Excuse me, that's the Omerta. So this is all CIA shit. You understand what I'm saying? From the bottom to the top. See, now, if they would see MacArthur, they remember World War II was used to depose the last of the greater Moorish empires and melanated kingdoms and stuff that was still existed prior to World War I. Okay, that was them spinning the block again. You see what I'm saying? Trying to get rid of whatever was left so that way they could fully go into their reconstruction. Okay, and remember, Southern California and all of that, where he was at, was a hotbed for occult, Freemason, satanic operations during that time. Southern California, that's where the Jet Propulsion Labs was at. That's where one of the NASA bases was at. That's where the Presidio was at, when that was being run by Michael Aquino and the Temple of Set and all of that shit, right? So this is all tied in. This is all paper, right? Thank you, Moore. This is all probably ex-paperclip niggas that they gave new cover identities to, and they start running it. Okay, but remember, we talked about last week in class that when you read the book Time Walker by Meredith Quinn, he says that the original name of the Moorish Empire, right, that the Latin speakers was calling it, was the Irenaeus Afrius Empire, right? So the real Aryans, again, is always going to be melanated people. But they, again, what they do, like all the Zionists and all of the so-called crypto-Jewish people do, is they operate, they take your identity and then they give you a fake one. And then they start rocking with yours. Because right around this time is when they started the Indian Rights Act to gas. Think about it. Segregation started, ended, and they started bringing all of these original melanated, indigenous, Moorish peoples into their school systems. Then they started giving them this history about them being all being taken from slaves from Africa. Prior to that, that had never been spoken. Niggas was not, that was not real, but they was doing that because they was trying to get as many original people here to get rid of their land. That was what the whole thing was about. It was a land grab to convince you, right, to make you go against your parents. Well, my people ain't from here anyway. We all gonna go back to Africa. So let's sell our land here, right, to these racist Caucasian people or whatever, and we're gonna go back to the motherland. But remember, that place was not your motherland because your mother didn't come from there. Nobody's grandparents and parents and them was talking that shit until that point. To this day, right? To this day, they still trying to pump that, trying to convince y'all of that. That's why they so mad that you done discovered the Moorish Science Temple, you done discovered the Divine National Movement, you done discovered the fact that there was a Moorish Empire and stuff like that that existed prior to 1492 that was running the world, because now that puts a hamper on their whole land cash grab thing. So let's put another nail in the coffin of the sovereign citizenship, right? This is what the FBI talking about. Now, they just as guilty and they just as much devils as everybody else, but sometimes you got to use a devil to confront a devil. So according to them, right-wing extremists, right? Right wing, left wing is two wings on the same satanic bird, all right? Right-wing extremists related killings in the U.S. perpetrator affiliation from 2014 to 2023. Nearly 3 out of 4 killings committed by right-wing extremists in the U.S. are committed by who? White supremacists. Look, they even got the fake titles here. Toxic masculinity extremism. What? What is that? What the hell is that? What the hell is toxic masculinity extremism? What does that mean? See what I'm saying? These are fake terms that they just using to describe the same devils. Look, other right-wing extremism. So it's only right-wing extremists when I see nothing but left-wing people out here, trans activists out here going in, shooting up schools. Remember that a little while ago? When the trans chick ran up in the school, shot up all of the Christian kids? And then they took mad long to release the manifesto. Or the dude that set himself on fire, they tried to say that he was trans, he was right wing. No, he wasn't. He was left wing, like all these crazy people. Whenever you see niggas with purple hair, pink hair, yellow hair, you got to get away from them people. Those are the worst. In nature, whenever you see a brightly colored lizard or spider or animal, run away from that, because those are the ones with the most venom. Those are the killers. Look, anti-government extremism includes, see, militia, sovereign citizens, tax protesters, boogalooers. What the hell is that? What the hell is a boogalooer? Somebody look that up. Boogaloo? You mean like in breaking? Like electric boogaloo? This nigga Turbo from Breaking is a terrorist now? That's what y'all doing? I'm telling you, man, you gotta laugh at this shit, because the moment you start taking it totally seriously, that's when you know they got you. Word, that was Marlon Wayans' name in Above the Rim. That's right. And who wrote that? Some white liberal niggas. Right? Total deaths include ideologically and non-ideologically motivated killings. So think about that. The total death includes people who had an ideology and people who didn't. So why are you only focusing on the people who did? That's how you know it's bullshit. So look, 336 deaths, total deaths. This is all Caucasian people. Now the new thing they doing, right, because they want to keep the white supremacist numbers up. This is why you know it's fake too. They are arresting people who aren't phenotypically Caucasian people and then writing them in when they book them as white people to bring up the white numbers. Because remember, they also told you that white males, white females, their population is drastically reduced in the United States. Didn't they just tell you that their birth record is 0? So if their birth record is 0, how are they doing the most killing? It's supposed to be more than us. We done passed the point of no return where we're no longer the minority, right? This is what they said in their little fake news shit. This is what they said. So which one is it? It can't be both, but it's neither because they're liars. Anybody giving you the news on mainstream media is an actor. They're not even journalists anymore. They just be hiring people like the crazy chick from the Congress. Boogalooers are a far-right anti-government group that is preparing for or looking to incite a second civil war. Well, so that's what so in the movie Civil War, the Western Alliance were Boogalooers. Who come up with the name for this crap? AOC. Yes, she's an actress. The same bit. Then they got the Somalian dude who's a female who married her brother, right? Who's in Congress with the fake turban talking about how white supremacy is the worst thing in the world, but this bitch is married to a white man. How is it that the main people talking this white supremacy shit is white people? It's a scam. It's all a scam. The SARS, all that shit is a scam. That shit don't got nothing to do with nationality, birthright, inheritance. Nothing to do with it. Nothing. Some of these malls, I be seeing them. They be totally brainwashed with this shit, B. They be totally on some, yeah, well, I'm gonna do this and then pay. It's like, yo, B, you going way too hard. You ain't even gotta go that deep when this shit is correct, B. There's certain things that you can do to safeguard yourself from ever having to deal with anything like that. But no, they want to engage because they've also been radicalized by these ideological so-called religious groups, right? Posing as black people, as posing as so-called black, falling under the so-called black liberation theology shit that was pumped by Jeremiah Wright and the rest of these fake boule niggas, Obama type niggas, and that's all a scam too. Pan-Africanism is a scam. It's a scam. If your great-grandmother was not talking to you about the slave shit or coming over here as a slave, right? Being enslaved is different than being put on a boat and being brought to you as a slave. You understand? And if that's the case, how come y'all ain't suing the Africans for the reparations? How come you ain't doing that? These Africans is prolific scammers. They will take you to the what they call that, the castle of no return. They'll bring you into the so-called slave pits where they allegedly brought you. The women in Dahomey was out there purposely enslaving their own people. One of the biggest groups that they allegedly enslaved and sold off was the Igbo. And the Igbo were what? So-called Hebrews. Who wore red fezzes, who still wear red fezzes. So what does that say? There's only one reference to the term African American in all of the annals of American so-called history, and that's written by somebody who coined the phrase back in like 1785 or some crap like that. It's another scam. They scam it to try to get us to get rid of the birthright that we naturally have here. It don't got nothing to do with what they saying. It's the opposite. Most of the so-called sovereign citizens, if not all, are all Caucasian white supremacists. That ain't you. You don't have nothing to do with them. You getting these nationality cards and this other type of stuff, right? And on it, it'll say, you know, it'll have variations of what was on the original literature of the Moorish Science Temple of America, Divine and National Movement. That's where all of it's really coming from. They're bastardizing that. They're chopping and screwing it. Indeed. Right? They flipping and bouncing, they taking little aspects of it, right? And then they using it. So instead of it saying Moorish Divine National Movement, they'll say like Moors Divine National Movement. They'll use the flags, the treaty flags that they see and all of that. They take in what they think Taj is telling them or whoever else is telling them, and they put in their own spin on it so that way they could be their own sheiks. They don't know how to properly open and close a temple. They don't know how to properly set up the actual structure of how the temple look. They've never ran a service. They've never done anything like that. They're not a card carrying member of the Moorish Science Temple of America, the Divine and National Movement. They have nothing to do with that. They haven't gone through the ADOT chamber. They haven't become sheiks by way of properly consecrated, appointed, and anointed sheik down the line of succession. They don't have none of that. They setting these Moors up to fail. They just as bad as the Pan-Africanists, if you ask me. They said El Bey was hit 8 times when the deputies returned fire. Right? So there go the numbers. So there's 8. So that's Saturn. That's build and destroy. Then the deputies return fire with 38 shots. Right? So that's 8 and 3, 8, 9, 10. So that's Cypher. Right? He shot my deputies. Then we killed him. Graveyard dead. Think about that. So what are they talking about? They saying they put him in the dismal crypt. See the Masonic talk? See the talk, how they be doing? They giving you the codes. Let me pull it up. Hold up. So again, unless you was there, unless you knew the brother or whatever, we can only go by what we are seeing, and we have to use discernment. What they want us to do, they want to turn it into some sort of racial thing. Oh, they attacking more, blah, blah, blah. They can never stop the Moorish Divine and National Movement. You understand? Because the Divine and National Movement is the organ back to the old Moorish Empire. You understand? But I'm going to also show you in law why they feel they could do certain things. Look, El Bey was hit 8 times when the deputies returned fire. Bless the dead. The deputies fired 38 shots. So that's 8 plus 3 plus 8. 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, 18, 19. That's 19. That's knowledge born, which is Cypher. He shot at my deputies, and then we killed him graveyard dead. That's interesting word that he would use, graveyard dead. That's the dismal crypt. Judd said, look up what the word Judd means. He had to know that was coming. El Bey had a suspended driver's license, but had no criminal history. So he was not a criminal. He just had a suspended license. So this is what I mean. When you gas people up to think that they could just do whatever they want to do because no laws, nothing applies to them. What do you think is happening? What do you think will happen? This is what happened with these other people out here. You radicalize these people with dogma and rhetoric, right? and false information from the TV, from the actors posing as journalists. Boom. Thank you, Moore. Dan L. Jud means what? To flow down river. Right? The word Hebrew means to cross over the river. Jud, the quality or state of having or showing lack of experience or judgment. Isn't that interesting? So either way, they put this brother on the river Styx. If it was a real event, again, I'm not trying to dismay or trying to disrespect family or anything like that. All I'm saying is I don't know. And I'm striving to deal with my people in the living and trying to let y'all know it's not about what these people is talking about. Whenever these Freemasons is involved, there's always a fix in it somewhere. You just got to accept that. Because yes, they are in the theater of war right now. Look, this is a saying, allegedly from the prophet himself. I can't say for sure because I wasn't there. None of us was. However, this sounds like something he would say. Okay? Prophet Noble Ali is reported to have told a brother that came to the temple with a shriner's fez, brother, you do not need that now that I, the prophet, am here. Then Noble Jew Ali took that fez off and gave him what? A plain red fez. So what is that? What does that say to y'all who want to be able to do all things and be all things at the same time? The man just told you, you don't need to do none of that. Now that I, the prophet, am here, I have come and got rid of all of the secrets. It's all done. He took that off and gave them a plain. Why? Because he said, Moors, you are plain rich. You come from the plains of Morocco. All of that extra potentate and navigator and all, come on, man. Worshipful and putting the sword above the woman. The 5-pointed star represent the woman, right? That's what that represents, right? No, the 5-pointed star represents the woman. And the 2 points right here, this moon, the moon represents the woman. The 5-point star in this context represents the child, right? So if I put the sword above that, what am I saying? What am I symbolizing to the people if I put a sword above that? This was the line to let you know that the Freemasons came into the movement and started switching shit up. That's a fact. That's what happened. To this day, they still think they could get to their thumb through the body by where they elbow. Get to their elbow by where they thumb. When the man said, you ain't got to do none of that. Be yourself. Be yourself. He didn't give you degrees. He gave you one-on-ones. He gave you lessons. The plus degrees and all of that came through the ADOT and all of that. And even then, there wasn't no aprons involved in that. Ain't no apron. If you going through an ADOT chamber, somebody got an apron on, you not in the Moorish Temple of America Divine and National Movement. I'm sorry. That's not it, bro. That's not it. Look, Moors, these Moors was doing their own Hajj, what they call Hijra, right? Moors was doing that over here beforehand, before niggas was doing that over there. Look, we was doing it around holy mountains though. The young Coacuchi, right? The Negroes of Brackettville, Texas, Nacimiento in Mexico with John Horse and Wildcat preserved the traditions of the son of the Coacuchi, right? Who occupied the tribe on the what? The Hijira. Look up the word Hijira. What does that mean? The Arabs refer to it as Hajj. This is an old map for the tribe of Ben Ishmael. Look, this is how we was doing it. We was coming from the east, going all the way here to what they call Indianapolis. Then we went up all the way up to Morocco, right under the Kanaki River. The meaning, Hajira, beauty, intelligent, wise, wife of the prophet Ibrahim. The wife of the prophet Ibrahim, name of the prophet Ishmael's mother, gender. See? Going up to Morocco, coming down. So in the spring, we went up. In the summer, we went down. Right? Stop right here at Muhammad. Over here. Look what it say here. Moorish Science Temple of America at Pembroke, a small, old African-American town. When is this date? What's the date on this? When this Moorish American town existed? When? 1785 to 1905. Come on now. What the hell are you brothers going all the way over to Saudi Arabia for? That ain't your Mecca. That ain't yours. That's theirs. That's what we left for them. After they switched up what the purpose of the Kaaba over there was about, we gave them the holy instructions and bounced, came back here and did what we've been doing. They walking around a box. We walking around an entire mountain, a holy mountain of what? Harmonics. And we did it through the seasons. Look, right under Lake Michigan, this is what they used to call Little Egypt. Right under Chicago, look, right under the water, going right through the Kanaki River. Because this is how the barbarous nations of Moors over here did. Look, this is the area expanded. This is how we was doing it in the expanse. So you see it big. This is what it looked like. This is how we getting down. This is how we did our thing over here. Why y'all always want to do what somebody else was doing? Why you Winston Duke? Why you want to be the black Batman? Why don't you be John Stewart? Why don't you be Martian Manhunter, somebody else black? Why you got to be the white version? Why you always want to be a white version of what these niggas already got? You know the Fox people was Moors. They all wore fezzes. The Fox Nation. Look, Muhammad. Over here. We was doing this before 1785. We ain't just start doing it then, but this is when they actually wrote it down. The tribe of Ben Ishmael is Moors. And John Horse and them was down with it. We ain't got to be nobody else but ourselves, man. Stop giving these people dominion over you. What's wrong with you niggas, man? Because they believe what they taught. They believe that they came over here from Africa and that's it. That's it. They believe that Moorish sovereignty is something that what they seen on the internet or what this person was talking about. They're not dealing with statehood. They're not dealing with establishing their own real government. They're not trying to do whatever. They're trying to just remake what the man already did. And it's already been done. But why? Because they're trying to go along with this delusion of grandeur that they've created for themselves. to deal with the insecurity of them believing that their ancestors were slaves from a whole nother continent that nobody in their family can verify that they came from. Yes, I've been around certain African brothers and sisters, and they say, you know what, you look exactly like the Hausas. You look exactly like Tuareg people I know. You look exactly like, yes, because we have familial relations. But that is not my direct so-called lineage, bro. Whether just because you want it that bad don't mean that that's so. So stop trying to make me subordinate to another people who just got their independence. These African nations have just been set up not even for 80 years. My grandmother older than all them African nations, B. You got American Moors over here that's older than these nations. You understand? Look, let's for the slow people, not anybody in this class, but the people that might be looking, because you know there's all these other people. They so concerned about what Moors is thinking and what we think of ourselves and what we're not and how we need to accept that we're from Africa. But all these niggas is doing this from here in America. Why don't you go to Africa then and live amongst your people? Like at the end of roots, go back home and let them embrace you and do that. Again, this is no disrespect to anybody from the continent of Africa. I commend the fact that you have your customs and your traditions and all of that. So the same way I should do that is the same way you should do that for me. But you got niggas like Kai Cenat talk about no cap, not this, wearing baseball caps backwards and all this other type of shit. Then at the same talk about black Americans ain't got no culture. You a piece of shit, bro. You a young nigga, right? You a young African trying to be a nigga. But your ancestors wasn't raised here like that. So stop acting like you got the handle on the pot. You got your hand around the elephant. You telling people you got your hand around the elephant when you were just holding the tail. Look, chiefly the Tyrians, right? That's the Moors. And the Carthaginians, that's the Moors. What a change there would be in the prevalent conception of the past if we could have complete record of this race in the beginning of its development. It is not difficult to believe that the communities of the Phoenician or the Ethiopian race were established all around the Mediterranean and even beyond the Straits of Gibraltar in the ages as old as the Egyptian Moors, as the Chaldean Moors, that they had all communication with America before Tyre and Sidon was even built. Why did the ancients say so much about the great Saturnian continent? That's over here, B. Beyond the Atlantic, that's over here, B. And nobody in prehistoric ages had ever seen the continent. It was there, as they said, as we know, but whence comes their knowledge from it, their knowledge of it, and such knowledge as led them before to describe larger than Asia, meaning Asia Minor, Europe, and Libya together. This ancient belief must have been due to the Phoenician and Ethiopian communication with America in the earliest of times, because that's where they came from, which is imperfectly recollected or perhaps never completely revealed to the other nations. See? Them Africans don't know their culture the way we know us. They don't know the white man the way we know him. That's why I was watching an interview with this African young brother, and they said, well, what is it like, if you go to Africa with your black American wife? Excellent. That's what I'm talking about, son. Your African American wife. He said, actually, my Africans would rather you marry white people. Because they closer to them than us. Didn't we go over last week what the hominid was? Didn't we expose last week who Lucy was? And the difference between Lucy and the Guadalupe woman from over here? And that Lucy that they keep claiming is the original woman from antiquity is a damn monkey? That's what y'all saying? That's what y'all saying y'all come from? A monkey? That's what y'all believe? Cool. Cool. We don't though. I'm RH negative, as is all my peoples from over here, so long as we don't got no genetic admixtures. That ain't racism. That's racial pride. That's pride in who you are. In the Atlantic, including the Solon heard in Egypt of Atlantis was more ancient than the constrained voyage of the Tyrian ship of which Diodorus Siculus gives the account and can be seen in the early Greeks. The Greeks and the Creeks, according to Brother Shikamaga, is the same people. Had better knowledge of the Western Europe than those of later times. You see that? We been knew what it was. Slaves from non-slave holding states prohibited from coming into this state. Here we go, look. Exceptions in favor of Aborigines. Number one, Moors. Number one, Moors excluded from slavery. And Indus, meaning American Indians, excluded from slavery. The provisions, prohibitions, and the penalties of this act shall not extend to any American Indian, free Moor. So American Indian, Moor, free Moor, Moor, or Lascar, meaning Moor. But the burden of proof in all cases of arrest of any person of color shall be on such person of color to show him or herself exempt from the operations of this act. So you know what that means? In order for you not to be classified as a slave or an African or a black, you have to what? You have to declare your nationality. See? Which then makes you exempt from the Negro codes. You ain't got to pull out no hammers and start clapping at these people and shit like that. You ain't got to sit there and argue with these niggas and all of it like that. So long as your stuff is correct on the back end, on the private end, you should not have no issues. Like with anything else. Look at Pangea. Look where North America is. Look where Europa is. Look where Northern China is. Look, we used to walk from here to Australia, from Australia to Laurasia, which is Europa, all the way into Northern China, all the way through the island chains, and come right back to Australia, which is at the time Gondwana, and come all the way up through South America to North America. This is how long we've been here, when the whole shit was connected. This is the time that the ancient Carthaginians, the ancient Tyrrhenians, the ancient Chaldeans, the ancient pre-Americans, the ancient Phoenicians, this is where we coming from. This is why we can say we always been here. This is why you can't deport me from Africa. Because when I say Moorish, when I say Moor, I'm going all the way back to when it was like this, buddy. But when you say Africa, you're talking about when the whole thing was broke up. But again, the term Afri, right, or Afrique, right, was again named by the Latin-speaking so-called ancient Libyan Phoenician Moors, who wrote in pre-Arabic, which they call Kufic, or they call ancient Libyan script, or what they call ancient Berber Latin. You ain't gotta be nobody else. When you say American Indian, that's different than saying Native American. That's why they had to make us believe that we was from somewhere else. And they used Alex Haley, a liar. You understand? A liar. A liar is also a guitar. because these ancient Moors started needed to find, the dirty ones needed to find ways to break down so that way they could let these demons live amongst us and not know. Because of the damn Germans. Because of the damn Germans, bro. They was the ones that was messing the Bavarians, when the Burgundians and them Moors started falling and they started getting into issues. This is when it all started to go to crap. Because the bells had certain, they had special, the way that they was smelted, the way that they was made, just like I showed you with the uranium and all of that. This is what the Liberty Bell and all of that was about. That's why I got the crack in it. Because we used to use the bells, B. Trying to get the joint. Hold up. Everything we did was based upon the sonic vibrations and how we was running shit and how we was taking it. What they started to do was literally take our places. They would see all of the monuments and the beautiful things that we created, and they would try to recreate them themselves. They would try to do things that would then take us out of position so that way they could literally become us and then depose us by using people who look like us, because these dirty Moors over there was making deals with these niggas and was giving them the right to exist when they really didn't. They didn't have the right to exist the way that we did, because they weren't totally human. It was a big thing, B. They did not want us to be able to have the security. So they started to break us down incrementally. The same way that this nigga Kendrick was breaking these niggas down is the same way they was doing it. Systematically, by using those of us that had lower natures, those of us that was still down with the Yaqub situation, and was bringing them into our civilizations on the low. Get this book if you can. You know these niggas be. Anytime they put the word conspiracy in front of something, you know it's real. Stop going by what these boule blacks and these miseducated Freemasons always be lying to you about. They be lying. Yes, pattern recognition. Whenever they say that, no, I practice pattern recognition. You niggas deal in conspiracy because you don't know. And what you don't know, you believe. Because once you know something, you no longer believe it because you know it. Understand? You can't know something and believe it. Once you know it, that's it. So once you know that you're a Moor or Moorish American and your peoples were the ones that was enslaving all of these devils and was fighting to preserve what was left of the empire after the millennial reign ended and all of that, you know that because you're living that today. Even though they try to make you forget, even though they try to make you say that you're crazy and that none of it happened and that your great grandmother who got hair as fine as wool, right, but can be braided just like the so-called American Indians and all of that. The woman, they got a scene in The Women of Brewster Place where Cicely Tyson goes in on her daughter. Like your grandmother was an Iroquois queen, and she had a beautiful name, and you changed your name to some African shit. No, that's what the Africans did to go along with the Europeans. These names that you think is slave names was always your ancestral names. John and Peter and Paul and all that's your names. You invented English. You invented Spanish. You invented all of that. At the time that you was running the kingdoms in Galatia, when language was an art, you created Portuguese. How did people who was living in caves, walking on all fours, come up with alphabets? Tell me that. Yiddish is not a Semitic language. You think these Hebrews, the way that you want to exist and believe that they existed, these so-called Hebrew people, you think them niggas was speaking Yiddish? No. Jewish people, Yiddish people go to Hebrew school to learn how to speak the old Paleo-Hebrew that your ancestors spoke and still speak. But they could not pronounce certain words, so they had to create a pidgin language, a pidgin version of it that they call Yiddish. Yiddish ain't one of the Afro-Asiatic Semitic languages. These are the bells. See, when people talk about the reptilians and these type of beings and these niggas like that, what they really talk about is the fact that it's not that the reptilians, that they call them reptilians, it's not that they exist the way that we think, shapeshift the way they think. They shapeshift more through cloaking. They have the ability to project imagery into the ocular nerve by disrupting the frequency of the light. You understand? By disrupting the frequency of the light in your optic nerve, they can appear as something else. So what did we do? We created the bell system, the bell curve. Because what the bells would do would curve the light. It would redistribute the frequency and stop these niggas from being able to be in the false form that they projected to us. That's why you don't hear bells no more. When the last time you heard church bells? And where were they at? Always at the top of the so-called churches. Them things wasn't churches. Those were healing factories that we would go into to refortify our etheric DNA. So we would see the reality of the world as it is or as it was, not how they were projecting it to be. Before they started erecting the frequency fences. Once they got the Germans, right, to shut all of that down, this is what happened. Because the Germans, right, they were in league with these devils. The deal came all the way back. That's why the Liberty Bell was cracked. And then when the bells would go on, that's why they would always ring every hour. Remember? Every hour the bells would ring. All day. When the last time you heard bells? You used to hear them a lot when you was young. You don't hear them no more, do you? And since they ain't been ringing, look how evil shit has been. Look how shit has degenerated since you ain't been hearing these bells. It wasn't so that these niggas could just change their body up like that. They not that deep. They not that powerful. They not that strong. They don't have the muscle structure to be able to do that. They not octopuses. You know what I'm saying? How is it that these niggas are so technologically advanced, but they can only interact with white people? And white people got everything they got from us. So how are they that technologically advanced? How are they that more superior than you? They not. It's another scam. It's another scam, yo. To make you doubt your power. That's why they shut down the Liberty Bell. That's why they took all of the bells and turned it and smelted them down and turned them into iron and shit like that. Some of these bells was made of gold. Some of these bells was made of silver. Some of these bells was made of palladium. Some of these bells was made with uridium, uranium. So when they banged, just like the uranium glass, the Vaseline glass, it was producing what was equivalent to a nuclear pulse that made it hard for these things to even exist around you. Don't you notice that the more you've raised your vibration, certain people, it's not like it's not like they not even in your life no more. It's like they never even existed. I got some people I was cool with or whatever. Now that I've been on this type of shit, it's like they never even, I don't see no sign of them on the internet, no sign of them on Facebook, Instagram, nothing. It's like they was not even there. That's why you can't be around certain people. That's why you don't see me on panels with a bunch of people like that. No. Some people ain't worthy to be in your presence. Do you understand that? Some people are not worthy to be around you. That's how special you are. But no, they want to bring low. They want you to slut rap it. They want you to be, you understand? That's why, like I said, going back to the Kendrick thing, he done raised the vibration. He did what Christ's supposed to do. Obviously, he walking around with the diamond thorns on, right? He done raised the vibration enough where this nigga Aubrey can't even, his family can't even have peace no more. He's over. He can never run away from these allegations, ever. It's over. And his fans, it's over for y'all. It's over. You understand? It's over. Because you're going to look crazy. You're going to look crazy standing next to this nigga now. You understand? Look, get this book, The SS Brotherhood of the Bell. This is why. The Black Hitler, the Thule Society, see the Thule Society or the Thule Society, right? The Nazis was the new African Zulu empire or imperials. That was the real Nazi. That's when I'm showing the pictures of the Black Hitler and all of that. Then you had the dummy, the decoy ones, right? That's dealing with the vrills and all of that. When the real Nazis took over, the first thing they did was get rid of the Weimar Republic. The Weimar Republic, that was the last bastion. That was the modern day Sodom and Gomorrah. It was where all the pornography, all the drugs, all the LGBTQ, all of the child pornography, all of that stuff, all of the decadent shit, all of the Babylonian shit, that was happening in the last days of the Weimar Republic. When they came in, they shut all of that down. First thing he did was get rid of all of that. And all of that, right, was run by the so-called Khazarian Jews. Not because I say so, not because I don't like so-called Jewish people, because that's what the historical records say. He shut all of that down. Then the next thing he did was shut down the usury. He stopped them from being able to charge interest. That was a wrap. Remember, the what you call it, the white Nazi party started over there in Montauk. Look it up. The American, look, one of the biggest Nazi rallies took place in the world, took place in Madison Square Garden. You understand? This is facts. It was over here first. They created their own version and then used this version to go over there and get rid of all of the black ones that was there. Then they superimposed them, started to lace all of the water with LSD and all of that shit, and got all of them people fanatically behind so-called white Hitler. who himself was actually what was his, he was also half Jewish. The original black Austrians got rid of all of them, started flipping all of that up, and then went in and they started to destroy everything, got rid of the bells, started doing all of that, started rounding up the Khazarians and all of that, bringing them to the cloning centers, which was the Auschwitz and Dachau and all of that, where Rockefeller built the roads to get them in there. Rothschild paid for the underwriting. Krupps and them built the ovens. Hugo Boss designed the uniforms. Prescott Bush and them held down the banking aspect of them for them. Get the book, The Bush Connection, with Otto Skorzeny in them, who was Hitler's bodyguard, and tells you all about George Scherf, aka George Bush and them, how they all come from the Nazis. Aleister Crowley and all of this. This is all facts, B. Then the black Nazis and them retreated back into the Thule Society, and then they made a deal with the Vrills that they would get rid of the bells and all of that to get them to get rid of the white ones. And then they betrayed them, hooked up with the white ones, gave the white ones the technology. That's why the Germans had the biggest and the best tech. That's why afterwards, all of the Nazis had to come and they had to split them between the new white Russian Republic, Socialist Republic, and the new Socialist American United States Corporation Republic, all being centered and ran through Rome, through what they call the rat lines. This is facts. And then they went, reestablished Hollywood, right? They established the Hollywood because that was all part of the Himmler situation. Himmler was the one that was creating all of the movies and the propaganda films and all of that shit. And then one of his greatest students was a dude named Oscar DeMille. And what was the first movie that Oscar DeMille created? Birth of a Nation, right? Cecily DeMille created Birth of a Nation, right? Which then started with the Reconstruction and started creating the whole thing and started to create the new history of us being enslaved and all of this bullshit. To this day, you got these niggas that's born here talking to you about the greatness of Africa and all that, and they never stepped foot on the continent. But you ask them about African kings and all of that, but ask them to name 10 so-called barbarous kings from America. They can't name one. I could, though. And you can show these niggas the references, and they will still, because they worship their master. Because they're under the guise and under the spell of the worshipful master. So from that, the Vril and these niggas started to put the little worms and all of that into the water so that way they can infect these niggas. And then that's when they started putting them into the upper echelon people to take control of them through the optic nerve, right? And wrap around the optic and then go into the cerebellum and then start securing itself to the base of the brain. Because they're germs. And so one of the greatest weapons that they created was the so-called bell, this bell right here, that they was going to use. Why you think they dropped the bomb on the Japanese instead of the Germans when they was at war with both of them? There was huge battles in America where the mob was working with the government to stop the invasion of the U-boats and all of that right there in by the Hudson. Look it up. See, that's why they hated Patton. Because see, people like Patton and people like Rommel was with it. See, Rommel thought the war was real. He thought it was real. They called Rommel the Desert Fox. That's when he had to ask permission from the Sultan of Morocco to be able to fight against these crackers in the thing. But he didn't know that it was actually a theater of war. It wasn't a real war, but he was fighting to win. So they had to eventually assassinate Rommel, their greatest general. Same thing with Patton. Patton was fighting to win. They like, nah, this is a scam. We trying to, you understand? We trying to get this popping. Like you doing this too well. Slow up. That's why they had to get rid of him and replace him with people like MacArthur. You see what I'm saying? And then after they got the Japanese to get rid of all of the Moorish and the Indian and the Mauryan sultanates all throughout Asia, that's when they came in, dominated the Philippines, and then switched up everything. All this shit is a joke, B. All these niggas is devils. All of them is working for the same devil. The black ones and the white ones. They all working together. All on behalf of Rome. Speaking of which, same thing with the Bible, right? We're talking to us about the Bible and this and that, right? But to that. So these Hebrew dudes is out here telling you this and that and all of that, right? But again, the kingdom of God is within. Allah exists in the heart. These niggas has got you out here waiting for something to come again. When the coming has already came, it's us. All of the stuff that you're seeing now is part of the eventual fall of this place. It has nothing to do with that. But when we say the fall of it, we ain't talking about all of us. We're talking about those of us that's falling for the okie doke. Like I said, with the bells, right? That's why they called the bell. Let me get it. Hold on. It's always been us. That's why the Israeli government said the greatest threat to Israel right now is not Iran. It's not the Palestinians. It's not any of these other nations. It's the so-called black people in America. Think about that, bro. Think about that. Do you know that the Israeli government forcefully sterilized? They forcefully sterilized all of the so-called Ethiopian Jews that they brought over there to give themselves fake legitimacy to run the state after that with Operation Moses and all that. They forcefully sterilized them after bringing them over there for fake legitimacy. This is why they refer to them as that's why this was called the rebel flag. The rebel. Re is sun, right? Bell, right? The rebel flag, right? Which is, we know, is the original flag of those who were using the bells to rebel against the incursions that these niggas was coming through to destroy the original Confederacy. That had nothing to do with the so-called white history that they've been reenacting. See, reacting, reenact, read the act. You understand? Exactly, the original Confederacy flag of the rebels, those who rebelled, who had the sun bells, who were ringing the bells. That's why when the war ended, they started ringing all the bells again. Remember when you watched those World War II movies? They showed you this in the movie. They showed you this in the movie, The Miracle of Saint Anna, when the Moors went back and they found the Moor whose face was the giant in the mountain, and came back and saved the town. Remember? They've been doing this, B. They've been playing these games and these tricks. Like when they say, oh, he's an A-lister. You ever hear them use that word? Yeah, oh, he's a Hollywood A-lister. No. That's another code. They always speaking to you in code. They always using stupid words and shit like that to get you to believe that, oh, that's something you should want to be. You don't want to be no A-lister, because an A-lister is really somebody who is worshiping Alistair. Islam. An A-lister is somebody who's messing with Alistair. That's Crowley. That's the dark side. That's the clip-off. That's the dark side of Moorish science. This piece of shit. Just like the one next to him, Pike. Another devil. Another devil speaking with forked tongue. Another man lover. Another boy lover. You understand? Just like Blavatsky, the nursemaid to the white elite. See, the Moors were profoundly versed in the occult science at Toledo, Seville, and Salamanca. That's over here. That Toledo, Seville, and all of that became that after World War II. Excuse me, at the close of the 1800s. That's when those places were incorporated as that. That's when they started switching up the maps and all of that. These are the three beasts. This is the three-headed dog, Cerberus. These devils right here. They're the ones causing the confusion. They're the ones that brought words like transcendence and manifesting and all of this crap. You hear these so-called black witches and the rest of these devils that act like they practicing enlightenment and all of this shit. All of this crap come from these three right here. These are the killers of Pastel Beverly Randolph, Black Hermit, all of the Pamphlet the Devil, all of these so-called black magicians. Get this book called The Conjure Times, all about the black magicians in the so-called African-American tradition, magic tradition in the 1900s. In the late 1800s. These are the brothers of all of the so-called black Freemasons that's out here acting like they helping us. This is their teachers. This is who they worship. This is who gave them the fake degrees that they out here acting like they better with you in. The sovereign grand commander, the imperial potentate, and all that. The prophet came and deaded all of that. Deaded all of it. And what did they do? They replaced them with other so-called black Freemasons. And they've been plaguing the movement ever since. They're a plague. They have no love for their brothers and sisters. They don't have no love for the movement. Because if they was, they wouldn't be in it. Look. That's what she said is almost it. All right. So yeah, they want you to be Hebrews. They want you to be all of these different things except yourself. They want you to be all of these orders, all of this stuff that has nothing to do with what your ancestors was actually doing. Look. This is from their own Bible. This is from their own Bible telling you that it's all allegory. You ready? Romans 3:7. For if the truth of God hath more abounded through my lie. See? For if the truth of God hath more abounded through my lie unto his glory, why yet am I also judged as a sinner? This is Peter. This is the founder of the Roman Church. The one who used to kill all of the Christians. Paul or Peter, one of them. Used to kill the Christians. Then turned into the greatest Christian, more Christian than Christ himself. Because Christ himself was not a Christian. Yeshua, again, is a mind state. It's a being that we perpetually exist through and in. Next week, I'll get into that and all of that. But right now, this is it. So I'm showing and proving you in his own thing. He said he lied. Then it says in Galatians 4:22, my little children, of whom I travail in birth again until Christ be formed in you. Until Christ be formed in you. I desire to be present with you now and to change my voice. See, lying. For I stand in doubt of you. Tell me, ye that desire to be under the law, do ye not hear the law? For it is written that Abraham had two sons, that one by a bondmaid, a slave, and the other by a free woman. But he who was of the bondwoman was born after the flesh, but he of the free woman was by promise. Which things are an allegory? For these are two covenants. The one from the Mount Sinai with the gendereth to bondage, which is Agar. For this Agar is Mount Sinai in Arabia. Where is Mount Arabia? In Georgia. And answereth to Jerusalem, for which now is in the bondage of her children. So right there is telling you what? It's telling you that this whole thing is an allegory, that the story of Sarah and Hagar, the slave and the free woman, is a story of how we are born today, because the Christ is to be formed within us. So to put the bow in it, Amaru, which is the home of the northern Semites, we here in Northwest America, the origin of the term, while of the Chaldee, the name of the country means what? Light. To the Semite living in the east, i.e. Babylonia, which is where in California, is also meant the evening darkness or the west, because Amaru or Uru, like the metal of Thor's hammer, was the land of the west or of the sunset, the land of going in of the sun. That's it. Anybody have any questions? No, they're a scam. Alex Haley was a scammer. The whole Pan-Africa back to Africa that was created by Melville and Hershkowitz, two Zionist Jewish men. And Levinson was the one who wrote the speeches for Michael Luther King. See, his name wasn't even Martin. It was Michael Luther. Yes, he's the one who wrote all of that. And the guy who wrote Roots and all of that he plagiarized it from an African dude, but the dude who wrote the screenplay and all of that was a Jewish gentleman. So again, they troll it. Again, it's all a scam. Just like the sovereign citizen stuff, just like the fake Moorish history, the fake Moorish paradigm that these puppets be doing, the fake American Indian want you to be everything else, showing you all of these Moors, but in the end, they don't want you to be that. Scamming. This is random, but I noticed you guys may have already talked about this in class since I am now. Did you notice Kyrie? Yes, he had Moorish, but he had black before it. You saw that? It said black Moorish. So again, this is the Hebrew dude. They're using him as a smokescreen for the same thing, B. The same scam. Again. Anybody else? Yeah. Yeah, look at it again. It says black and then Moorish and then something else after that. Yeah, he's scamming. Yes. See? Yes, he did. Everything that he said on that thing about the railroad and all of that starting in Atlanta and all of that. Remember, the Virginia company translated or changed their name from the Plymouth, Virginia company to the Charleston, Cincinnati, and something else railroad company. And then those railroad companies, they changed their name again, and that became the basis of the intelligence, the Pinkertons and the CIA. That was all them. Yeah, that's what they called it. That's why they refer to this day. They refer to the CIA as the company, right? That's exactly what they call it. Anybody else? That's exactly what it is. I have one question. You allegedly, brother, you spoke of who allegedly got shot by the police. El Bay question without appellations. We're not supposed to have tribes mixed. Yeah, how I was taught, you're not supposed to do El Mbe. That's like being a Crip and a Blood. Not to say that we're a gang or associated with a gang, but just to use that as a reference. Like you wouldn't be the Union and the Confederacy at the same time. Like you got to choose one or the other. You know what I'm saying? And the El Bay thing came in, from my understanding, came in through when the Empress Berenice was establishing the Ouachita or the Washita, and she basically was striving to unify both sides of the thing, from the slave, like we just read in Galatians, with the slave and the bondswoman coming together. You see what I'm saying? But technically, you should be one or the other. You know what I mean? What does that say? Yeah, that's how I was taught. Email me at houseofl@hotmail.com. You know what I mean? We have connections and stuff like that too. Proper, chartered and accredited temples and all of that. I can at least put you in touch with that. Anybody else? Nah. After the the empress, you know, passed and all of that, you know, the empire went fractured. Then it was like the Washita, the empire dug the Moundia. The Washita Empire dug the Moundia, from what I understand. And again, I may not be right, but this from what I understand, that's the original. Then there was a split, and then it became the Empire Washita. And then there's another faction called the Uashita. See what I'm saying? All of that happened after the Prince Tupac L died. He's the one that actually put together the Return of the Ancient Ones. You know what I'm saying? So honest to him, honest to her, you know, and everybody that has come in the name that's still striving to keep it thing. Yes, I know him. Yep. We used to build a lot, but you know how things go sometimes with these Moors. Definitely. Anybody wants to hit me up about that or any of the procedures, whatever, hit me up at houseofl@hotmail.com. Definitely check out www.aseer.com. Definitely check out, get your copy of the Darsko 418. It's the cover of it right here. The world's most dangerous comic book novel. It's definitely right on time of what's happening now. Anybody that hasn't already, if you haven't, definitely send the $30 to Cash App to @DS418.com or to Duke of Tears at gmail.com. Definitely appreciate it. If you want to just do that as well as donations, we appreciate it. Definitely check that out. Definitely check out www.cordobaorganics.com. That's for all your skincare and needs for, skin health, hair care, general well-being in that. Definitely please support that. Queen works real hard with that. Also, definitely check out the ADOT app. It's doing real well. Definitely appreciate everybody that subscribed. We update it pretty much often. Pretty soon I'm gonna be able to be going live on it. So we'll be doing lives on there, so you guys will be able to do that, and we won't be impeded by YouTube. Anybody else, anybody that hasn't subscribed to the YouTube, I greatly appreciate it if you did that. They've been trying to keep me capped at 49,000. I'm almost at 50,000 after almost 10 years on this joint. You know what I mean? So it shows you the shadow ban is real. So definitely please spread the word on that. Striving to get those numbers up for that, and definitely use that as a mean. Also, again, if you go to www.aseer.com, yup, it's on the on www.cordobaorganics.com. Definitely check out that. He has stuff on there for that. And definitely check out, like I said, the ADOT app. We're going to be going live on there. I'll be able to do direct consults with people, video consults with people. And we're going to have more things on there popping. And definitely go to www.aseer.com, because that's where all my links, all my rumbles, and all of that stuff is on there. So I really appreciate the support. You know what I mean? If it wasn't for you guys, I don't know. However, we've been striving to stay consistent and Freemasonic free with this information, you know what I mean? So that way I don't have to deal with people's that is not genuinely for the people or for the movement, you know what I'm saying? So I definitely want to give respect and honors to all of you who come through. And anybody else wants to hit me up at houseofl@hotmail.com. All right? So again, anybody have any questions before we close out? We out. If not, we're going to be out. Thank you. And then check out those books that we mentioned in class. Like I said, next week we're going to go into the whole class thing. Don't let these dudes dupe you and put you into trick bags that don't exist. You know what I mean? So again, Proconium Laudibus, in Rowena, excuse me, in Rowena, Romano, Mortis, and Pax et Amor Gratis. Islam. The question was, before we go, I have a question about your name. How did you trace your lineage back? Come to that. My birth name, Prince Charles E.L. Rogers Eel. Again, I looked at both sides of my family, my mother's side, my father's side. As far as the title Ducateers that was bestowed on me by this empress, who's no longer here, Empress Kweke. And that was it. But next week we can go into how it is you trace the lineage back with your family and stuff like that. People want to build on that real quick. It's real simple too, because after they took all our titles and stuff, they had to keep a record of it just in case we ever got it back, so we can get into how to access that. All right. All right, y'all. Islam. Peace.